You know, one thing I like to do for the health of the tree, as well as making it easier for me to maintain, because I mow and trim all this myself. But you'll notice that oh gosh, for the first 2 or 3 rows of trees that I planted, I put these big plastic rings around them. Um, Not necessarily for the looks. I mean, this is my fig orchard. I want it to look nice, but at the same time, the purpose of me putting these rings around was one, they're like 5 inches high. So I can put them around the trees, and then I originally was using pine straw, and I could just pile it up. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 inches of pine straw around most of these. Some have some wood chips in them as well. But I actually, this spring, I planted, I don't know, it was over 35 trees. And it's just, it's one of those things. I intended to make sure I got all the rings put around them when I planted them, but like I didn't. So they're kind of out in the yard. Although I don't just plant my trees straight in the ground. I actually plant them in 5-gallon nursery buckets with the bottoms cut off. And you can see I've got a video probably a month ago that it's just about like how I plant my trees in the ground and why I do them that way and so forth. So you might want to refer to that. I don't want to recover it here, the subject matter here in this video. But what I did here originally is I was using these 3-foot rings. Actually, it's just a big roll of like 40-foot plastic that I got this at Home Depot. So like a 3-foot ring, if you want a 3-foot ring, you're talking 3 times pi, right, to get your the length, which turns out to be almost 10 feet, just a little under 10 feet for each piece. But as much as they're okay, I think for my new ones, since my trees are actually inside, they're planted in buckets, and right now you can't tell, and I do need to clean some of this up, right? I put these new ones, okay, so you can see here the edge of the 5-gallon bucket that it's planted in, but it's got the bottom completely cut off. And so we're talking a circumference from like here, around. So I don't need a ring to go 3 feet wide. So I decided for my new rings, I'm just going to do a 2-foot ring. I need to situate these more, center them all, and I just had put the rings around them, and I only have one little stake holding them in right now. But the idea is, right, get these all placed and centered up nicely. Stake them all in there. Remove the grass. I'm going to pull up all that grass in there. And then once I get them staked in, I'm going to load them up with, I don't have pine straw. The thing I was disappointed with about buying the pine straw is I got a bunch of dollar weed delivered in the pine straw. My God, I put all this pine straw, and gosh, like a month later, I had the biggest dollar weed outbreak, and it's just because the pine straw had dollar weed seeds all over in them. And this part of the country in Florida, I mean, they can just go crazy and take over your yard. They're so hard to get rid of. Definitely not something you want to have. So I'm just going to go with the shredded wood. So I'm going to put the shredded wood inside each one of these, and I'm going to pile it up to about probably 3 to 4 inches of shredded wood in around each one of these, to help retain moisture and to help keep the weeds and grass from encroaching in there. But the other nice thing so that does a great job, and it helps keep it organized, the mulch, right? Because if not, when it rains or when you mow and you trim, there's nothing like keeping it in. The weed whacker hits it and throws bark chips all over the yard, and next thing you know, I don't really have a lot of bark left. Like it comes down like that because over the course of a month or two, much of the bark has been like gone. I don't know, weed whacking and stuff like that. So by putting up the ring, you can really pile it up and it keeps it from going anywhere. And now when I weed trim, I can just take the weed whacker and go right along the base, buzz right around that, and keep everything nice and clean looking that way. So it's kind of a double benefit in the way that like it helps the trees, right, having that mulch. And I don't know about aesthetics. I don't know if I really like the look of a bunch of rings in my in my yard. And I think part of it is they're tall rings too, right? These are like 5 inches tall. You'd probably get away with a 4 or a 3 incher. I think that might look a little better. Then again, I could actually press these down into the ground an inch or two, which is probably how they're supposed to be anyway, instead of just riding on top of the ground. But after I dig all the grass out, around from in here, and then it will, by definition, removing all that grass, it's going to sit down probably an inch or two lower than it is right now, so they won't stick up quite as high. But I do love having these rings around versus not. I mean, it's almost unmanageable doing that because, a month ago I had 3 or 4 inches of wood piled up around it. I don't know what happened to it. I mean, it's slung all over the yard, likely with the weed whacker and mowing. And, when it rains really hard, it can float that stuff away. And so, versus like this has kind of a mixture here, a combo. You can see the bucket sticking out over there. I need to kind of bury it a little better, but it's great for maintaining the yard, and I actually think the trees really love it. This is a Coltidom Grice. It's quite a branchy little thing. It's a two brancher cutting that's turned into, gosh, probably 4 or 5 branches now. It's getting some figs on it. So anyway, I think this weekend I am going to finish out putting 2-foot circles, not 3-footers like I started out. I'm going to do 2-footers to finish out all of these, the rest of the trees back here. I've also got a few new plantings that were amongst rows that had them, like this little Colorona. It's going to need a ring around it. In fact, this is the one I did the video of how I plant my trees in the ground. It's in a bucket with the bottom cut off. The other one I need to get is over here. This is Nordy Barbentane, which is supposedly very, very close to Bourgeois Noir. Very tasty fig, but it also needs that ring around it. I do think the benefits are just like amazing. I think it's worth putting the rings around them. Like I said, aesthetic wise, I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe neutral. I don't know. But I think the other benefits far outweigh not having it. Like this is a Nero 600. It needs one. And my new little Craven's Craving, which is doing really good. Yeah, it's got a nice growing apical bud on there. But it needs a little border around it. I've got this around here just to keep my 2 wild dogs from mowing it down. They love to run. This is not a fig, but still I think I might want to put a border around it for the same reason, to help organize and keep the mulch in place. And then here in the backyard, the side yard, it's kind of my area. My wife lets me do whatever I want over there in terms of planting trees. But the backyard is a little more sacred. She doesn't want me to get too crazy with the fig trees here. But I do still have 10 back here. I've got 8 planted like along the fence, and then I've got 2 here in pots. And I've got this thing too. This is a dogwood, a white dogwood. So I might put little borders around these two because I think, it's not just beneficial to the figs. It's a Violet de Bordeaux. I think, most trees are going to benefit from it. And then I'll avoid stuff like this too. So without the border, I used to have a bunch of bark piled up. I don't know, like I said, mowing, weed whacking, it's kind of all got dispersed around, and now there's just a little bit left in the pot itself, and you can even see some of the edges of the pot sticking out. Again, it's got the bottom cut off, so those roots are very deep, deep down, way past the bucket by now. And so if I put a ring around it, I can pile up, 3 to 4 inches of bark, chipped, whatever you want to use for mulch, but it will absolutely keep that buried, right? So that'll be nice. That's a black Tuscan right there. I don't know, these trees right here are Italian cypress. I don't know, I may just I don't think I want to put rings around these Italian cypress. I'm going to leave them the way they are. But then, I've got this one. This is Bass's favorite fig. It's kind of weird. If it's hot and kind of dry for a while, my trees, a lot of them, especially the first year trees, which this one and the black Tuscan down there, their first year, that Violet de Bordeaux kind of bush right next to the gate over there, that I started that as a tissue culture last year. It was about the size of a toothpick, seriously, but it's grown really large too. But these 3 trees, that tree, the black Tuscan, and the Bass's favorite fig, it's not Calderona, Bass's favorite, might be Calderona. But anywho, it's weird, these 3 never seem to need water. I mean, seriously, I never really have to water these things, and I'm wondering if it's because they're planted right along the pond. Even though it's probably 15 feet to the water there, but I wonder if, ground seepage in that, and the roots have gone deep enough to where they're pretty much self-sufficient already in the first year. Because these trees over here along this fence, they will show that they need water if I haven't watered them in a while. Right, and so they're a little further away from the pond, but nonetheless, we'll sidetrack there. These, I want to make sure I get them all done as well. I think it's really going to be beneficial, and you can tell how I've lost a lot of mulch. So anywho, I have this. I'll show you what I got. I bought this stuff before, but I got another shipment sent in here. It is here. Take a look at this. Oh, they look like this. So it's just a big roll. Sorry, I'm gonna set it down so you can see that. This is a big roll of that, and it's nice. It's fairly flexible. I've got a heavy-duty pair of scissors that can cut this pretty easily. So with my 2-foot circles, I'm only going to be looking at about a 6.3 pi times 2, right? So it'll be about a 6.3 foot piece each to make a 2-foot circle versus almost 10 feet that I was having to do to make a 3-foot circle. So it'll save a lot of this. Not that it's expensive, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. I'd have to buy so many more rolls to do 3-foot circles, and so that's nice. I'm going to just stick with the 2-foot circle. I think it looks plenty fine. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's a huge benefit to get those put around your trees to help organize and keep it clean. Like I said too, trimming around them. It's a dream having having this to to weed whack up against versus slinging your mulch all around the yard, which I have been doing for the last 4 or 5 months. So got the weekend project coming ahead, and I hope y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching, and if you like the videos, please thumbs up or subscribe. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye.